It's not always the devil, And to be quite honest, seldom ever is it the devil. And it's so sad, particularly in the Western world of faith and theology, where you don't see God as a perennial being in charge or in control of the events in our lives and in the world. It's either the devil or simply another human being that you fear. So there is no fear of God. But is every event that's negative, in our view, of course, disastrous, catastrophic, cataclysmic, apocalyptic, is it the devil? Is it a man? Is it a government? Or is it God? And there seems to be quite a conflict, a contradiction rather, to the belief that God's in charge and God created it all and God does it all. More often than not, it seems like God is hardly a part of anything or has any power over anything, much less everything. So I'm wondering, contemplating, meditating, thinking about all of the events throughout history. Obviously, you should think about that in reference to our own lives or your own life, my own life. However, we seem blindsided by most of the things that are in front of us in the modern world, but we have no problem trying to guesstimate and estimate and understand and discern something that happened 100 years ago. So let's examine some of the things that happened 100 years ago or more. I was thinking about all of the various events throughout history where we have seen this occur already. And we've seen history prove that God does things. We use the word kamikaze. I came to understand kamikaze doesn't mean suicide, it means divine win. We think of it as a suicide mission because of it happened. It was the Japanese, it's the word for divine win. So the planes came like a divine win to basically destroy the fleet of sheep. The fleet of sheeps. The fleet of ships in Pearl Harbor. The divine wind in the Japanese culture was in 1281, and it was a massive typhoon that destroyed the invading Mongol fleets of the Kublai Khan off the coast of Japan, saving the nation from conquest and giving then the name kamikaze. In 1588, the Spanish Armada had a tremendous unseasonable storm that battered the retreating Spanish fleet in the Northern Sea. And it destroyed over a third of their ships, securing the future for the Protestants in England. In 1812, love that date, don't we? War of 1812, the French invasion of Russia. And it was another unusual Russian brutal winter. They had shortages in supplies, and with the decimation of Napoleon Bonaparte's Grand Army, it caused his force of over 600,000 men to end up with just a small, tiny remaining fraction, triggering his ultimate downfall. The Battle of Moscow, 1941, known as the Autumn Mud, immobilized the German tanks. Now, there's been many documentaries and movies on that, followed by an intensely freezing Russian winter. And the Nazis were not prepared for that. Freezing oil in the engines, all types of things. And I think that was when they started inventing antifreeze and some other components. And halting the German advance. They were miles from Moscow, but they were bogged down by mud. D-Day invasion, 1944. That was a brief, unexpected window of clearing. Now, we know the ships got blown off course in the history. Got blown off course. There were all kinds of events that happened around D-Day. Hitler got confused or believed because of the false intelligence, blown up airplanes, balloons on fields to make them think we were where we're not, that we were going to hit an area where we're not. I think it was his main general, was it Rommel, who was signing on it. He did not believe what his generals were telling him, where the invasion was going to occur. And that was, I think Patton was in England at the time, and they thought that, well, because he's there, of course, Patton is there because he slapped 2 soldiers, all kinds of events. Things that happen that you can see where it all, you get the aggregated data and you say God's hand was in it. How did that end up? And there was an unexpected clearing of the weather. They called it the June storms. The attack was launched. And the weather served to our benefit. Oftentimes it can serve to your disaster. It works both ways. What about when George Washington crossed the Delaware and the Hudson? Remember those events? How everything changed. That was 1776. And it was, I believe, the Battle of Brooklyn. And they were trapped against the water with the British Army in front of them and the Navy that was blocking the harbor. What happened? The weather shift. An adverse northeast wind, nor'easter probably, prevented the British ship from sailing up the river completely. The miraculous fog, I think that was in one of his diaries, allowed a secret nighttime evacuation. Daylight broke, and before all 9,000 troops could cross to Manhattan, suddenly an incredibly dense freak morning fog rolled in. It masked the retreat from the British scouts until the very last boat carrying Washington, where you have that famous painting of him, pushed through. And they had the ice bridge crisis of the frozen Hudson in 1779 and 1780. I think it was General Hamel and the British Army when they were fighting the Ottomans, the British, the Norfolk group of the region there in northern England. That battalion had one of the battalions in that group, actually, they didn't understand exactly what happened to them, but they went to fight the Ottomans. And they were being massacred. And that happened when they were doing a time where the Ottomans were quite a fierce group, but still the English thought them to be somewhat cavemen and a defeated empire that had nothing left in them. They proved to have a lot left in them. They always will. In that battle, they lost terribly, partly because of the weather that swooned down on them, another dense fog. It was brutal. Who was behind this? Is God just sitting back doing nothing, you think? And in the Christian theology, mostly yes. God does nothing. Even before then, the deist beliefs. I mean, Benjamin Franklin had the same or similar belief as a deist. God just got the wheel started, and he went off, and he's having tea someplace on some distant Caribbean planet. He's just left the world. I'm done. Here, you got everything. I'm out of here. Do whatever you want. Tear up the house, build a house. I'm gone. I'll see you when I see you. And that's the attitude of a lot of people with God, either those that believe in God or some aspect of God. So you have to ask yourself, is God in control? Did God appoint Xerxes? Did God appoint Cyrus? Koresh? Did God send in Nebuchadnezzar? You have to ask yourself. And you know, in history, at least in the biblical history, God did. God did. In many cases, you can see where the Lord has decided to turn the tides of war without any man's opinion. Because it's about being on God's side, not God being on yours. God will set his face against you, against us. And just like if you do something wrong as a child, it's not the neighbor that's going to put you in timeout or take the car keys away or ground you for 2 weeks or spank your butt. It's your mother and father. Wasn't the enemy that did that to you. It wasn't an enemy that canceled your night at the movies or you're not going to Disneyland now. It wasn't the enemy that said, that's it, your grades are so poor, you are not getting a car. It wasn't an enemy that did that. That was your father and mother. The same one that provided the car can take it away. The same one that paid for the college can decide you're acting up, no more. You see, that's God. Would you say the devil did that? No, you know your parents did it because you recognize the reality of their authority, both the love and the fear of judgment and justice, rewards, benefits, and risk. So if you understand that, why would you not understand that with God? Parents are not as much on your side as, in fact, the ones that are not really the best parents, are they? Oh, baby, you could do anything no matter what. I'm always for you. No. It's the parents that train up their children properly to be on the side of right, which they should obviously know better than their children. You brought them into the world. God created us. I think it's he who sets the moral standard. Your parents do set the moral standard. You don't come in the house and set that moral standard. You weren't raised in telling them what to do and what the morality was going to be. How is that any different with God? So it's about being on God's side. And when you are on your parents' side, they are on your side. When you are obeying their rules, they are benevolent with you. When we are obedient to God. And when we're not, there's judgment. And sometimes parents have even sent their children to jail or reformatory school, as we used to call it, or away to some distant school. Because you become so unruly that now they have to use other means, other empires, other powers. May have to get a counselor, a psychiatrist, a psychologist, a doctor, a police. Send you away in those rehab centers. Or kick you out entirely out of the land. You get the Israeli, Jewish, Hebrew trajectory in history. Kick you out of the house. When you repent, you can come back. Events are mostly controlled by God. And even the things that happen to us sometimes that seem to be so horrible, so unthinkable, so unfavorable. Is it God who did this? Ask yourself that. You should. Is it God who set that enemy against me? Am I in rebellion? Is it that I'm not learning my lesson? I'm so addicted to my addiction. God's convicting me. Yes. And some of those things are automatic. It's just an automatic default that just kicks in. Some things are just automatic. It doesn't have to be a disease. It's just the body's natural response to rebellion or bad eating. Not because you caught a coronavirus. It's because you've been eating like a virus and eating the wrong things, reading the wrong things, associating with the wrong people, going to the wrong places, drinking the wrong things, thinking the wrong things. Long before judgment, there is already natural judgment put in the body, in the immune system, and blessing naturally put in the body. Eat a certain thing, the body just goes crazy. It's excited. The eyes go bright. The muscles go just natural. There are the natural things that do not require an intervention. In that regard, the DSS, that part right. There are natural things that without praying for it, it's just already built in your system that God designed to produce this positive result without praying for anything. And there are judgments and justice and damage and all these things that will naturally happen without God lifting one finger to put it on you. So we ought to know that if that's the case, that's just at the base level, the default level, then how bad must we be when God has to go over and beyond that default level? And how glorious he must be when we get a blessing beyond the default blessing that is given to everyone, which he's, like he said, I reign on the just and the unjust. And I shine on everyone. We all wake up this morning, we're going to experience the sun. The good, the bad, and the ugly are going to wake up with the same air, the same oxygen, the same crystal clear water out in the Mediterranean Sea. They're going to hear the same birds sing, regardless of how good or bad they are. We all wake up with an equal God-blessed deposit into our life's savings account. We get to use it for good or bad, for beautiful or ugly. We get to be a blessing or a curse, or be blessed or cursed. And even more so, even though that is given to all humans, even more so those of us who are the good child, those of us who've gone beyond the default measure. Now we can start talking about that extra divine blessing or that extra divine judgment or punishment. The natural things in life go both ways for us. And it may not require a mysterious fog or an ice bridge or a divine wind or a typhoon just at the right moment. Those are nice once in a while, these big events. But it's the daily beauty of that system that is in place over and over again, every minute and every hour of our day, the blessings and the judgments of God that we see at hand all the time. It's not just about the big game, but the little games that we play every day on that court or in that field of life. And isn't that really the greatest beauty of it all? That day by day, moment by moment, that play by play, not just a big event, that joy that is just running every day without it being a special day, a special holy day or holiday or festival. That without any fanfare or fireworks, any big banners, you're waking up and you're joyful and you have peace, not because you won some big event or some big deal. Peace and joy and blessing. Don't miss out on that, because that's where you'll see the Lord really at his finest. That's where you'll be at your finest. It shouldn't have to take a great miracle to see one, nor should it take or need to be a great judgment, a big argument to tell someone you're sorry and to forgive and to turn away. Guard your words and guard your mind and put God first. Continue to pray for his will to be done, for the peace of Jerusalem, for Israel's protection, for the people of this world on every continent and every island of the sea. What? That God's will be done. I believe it's in the book of Joshua chapter 5, where he's confronted with an angel with that sword in the middle of the road. And Yehoshua says to him, who are you? Whose side are you on? Are you with them? Or are you with us? And Yehoshua, not realizing it's an angel from Adonai, neither I'm on God's side So the real question is, whose side are you on? We're always asking God to bless us, but do you bless God? Asking God to help you, but do you help God? Throughout Israel's history, they have a great history of seeing when God is on their side, they are unbeatable, undefeatable. 6-Day War, War of Yom Kippur. You know how those are martyrs. You know the history of the wars of the nation of Israel and the Hebrew people in general. Do you not know? You can't win. It's not the Iron Dome or the tanks. It is Adonai Hashem, who's established Jerusalem and the nation of Israel as his personal jewel to the world. All nations' arms are too short to box with God, the Holy Land, and the holy people he set aside as an example for all of us. It wasn't because the people were more than anyone else. It was simply because God chose the people as a representation to every people group. And to give the world, provide the world, a group of people, a nation, to exemplify Torah, code, regulations, behavior, the law, the instruction, so that we all model it. And is that so fanciful to contemplate? Franchises do it all over the world, particularly McDonald's. Where can you go and not see a McDonald's? And then people try to make copies of one, if not the franchise itself. People take sports teams and they copy them. They see America's got a basketball team, they form a basketball team. They see Spain's got a soccer team, they form a soccer team. I remember when soccer came to America, and you might remember when basketball came to Israel. You see what's happening? Why are we okay with modeling Levi Strauss clothing wear, Prada and Gucci and all kinds of different things from different types of countries and what they come up with and what they do? Dream catchers, all these different things. But God doesn't have the right to do the same thing. To say, you are to be the model for all nations. They need to copy you like you're copying them. They need to copy you because you're copying me. And I want these nations to know me, to know who I am and what I want from them. Therefore, you will be the model. That's why they are the only nation on the planet that is the model of Shabbat. Israel's the only nation. So don't get lost in anti-Semitism and blind yourself from who the Jewish Israeli people, the Hebrew nation, are. Directly appointed, designated, and anointed by God for all of us to take notice of how God blesses and how he curses, what he will do and how we should act accordingly. He's made his name famous through Israel, through Jerusalem, through the prophets, through the Torah. He's made himself famous because he created the entire world. Therefore, every nation on the planet one day will come to know the Torah of Adonai. Amen.